Good morning, you guys. Welcome back to Drawing with Mike. Today we're going to do a short 5-minute art tip. Of course, you see I'm out here on the trail exercising. You also see the standard Florida sweatshirt. Today we've dipped into the 50s, so probably right now it's high 50s in the morning. Winter. Not to belittle you guys who are actually experiencing a winter with lots of snow and cold temperatures. Here in Florida, we're acclimated to the warm weather, so when it dips below 60 degrees, typically the hoodie breaks out. Today we're going to talk about critiques. Critiques, how to take a critique, not so much how to give a critique. I will touch on that, but since we only have about 5 minutes, I don't want to get too in depth. Taking a critique. Early in my career, I was very sensitive. I had thin skin, and since I had poured so much effort into my pieces, and I was very passionate about the work that I had done, whenever somebody came in and criticized my work, I took it personally. This was pretty standard whenever I was in college, in the fact that I would watch people that would have their piece, quote unquote, torn apart, not literally but figuratively, and they would pick apart each particular element of the piece to the point where it no longer became a piece as a whole, it became a piece in parts. And in school, that's pretty standard. They want to pick up the piece apart to kind of expose the flaws that are inherent in it. And I can remember many critiques going sour and people yelling and screaming and getting upset and, what the blank do you know? And I was kind of disheartened in the fact that I was getting into a business that was basically extremely subjective, and you're creating a commodity that varies among each person and each client. And creating a piece on the whole, here I'm gonna have to switch because my arm's getting tired. Now I got massive shadows on my face. You're gonna have to deal with it. On the whole, that was different among each person that viewed it. Now that I'm 20 years into the business, roughly, not so much, 17 years, I have grown to appreciate a honest, real critique from a person that has knowledge and knows what they're talking about. Now, of course, whenever you do art for the commercial market, you're going to get individuals that are put in places above you that will look at your work that have no idea. And this is pretty standard. You'll get a production manager that basically got hired, maybe they worked in retail and they got hired as a production manager, and they'll look at your piece and they'll have an opinion about it, and they will know nothing about art. And you'll have to change your art based upon their opinion. And yes, it's frustrating, but on the other hand, it shows me a different aspect of my business that I have to think about whenever I create a piece of art. Whenever you create a piece of art, there are many questions that you have to ask yourself, not only as a seasoned professional, but also as a layman that doesn't know anything about art. You have to look at it and view your piece subjectively. How do you do that? Well, a lot of times I like to step back from my piece after being involved in it for a stint. I like to step back and come back to it and look at it and ask myself the question, what story am I trying to tell? What am I trying to present in this piece that is going to be appreciated by a multitude of people? And then, of course, sometimes I do things just for me and I don't really care what people think. But whenever you're being paid to create art, the thing that you really need to understand is you're being paid to mold what you're doing into a fixed idea of what the person that is hiring you is trying to accomplish. So you have to interpret what they say, and basically, here my alarm's going off, we're at 5 minutes, and basically you have to change your art to bring their vision forth. This is something that comes through time that, after not millions, I would say thousands of critiques, that you start to get indicators in their vernacular whenever they start describing things. I've had a client basically say, after I've submitted a piece, it needs to look cooler. It needs to have that fun element. There are so many things that people and your clients say that sometimes you kind of laugh because they're trying to express things in terms of emotion. They want emotion into the piece, whereas you are looking at things in terms of technical side. Well, does it need to have more contrast? Doesn't need the colors need to be brighter? Does the gesture of the character need to be more defined? These are things that we as artists understand, but the layman or somebody that is in the production side or the hiring managers or people like that might look at it and want the emotion side of it. You have to find a balance. Take the critique, okay? Especially you guys that are in school and college, take the critique. I tell my kids, I say, I enjoy a good critique because what it does is it shows me a different aspect of the piece maybe that I did not see. And that is something that you always need to appreciate. Giving a critique, you need to have respect. Don't do things out of spite. And if you're critiquing another artist, definitely show that you understand, or even if you don't understand what they're trying to come across, ask the questions. You know, what are you trying to do with this piece? Why did you use the colors that you used? And a lot of times they have every idea and every capability to explain this. Instead of saying, your piece looks like shit, you know what I'm saying? I had a teacher in college basically look at a, and I tell this story a lot, look at a piece that one of the other students did, and the piece was about an alien, and he was a big brown alien, and he kind of looked like a meteorite. And the teacher said, it looks like a turd from the planet shit. Okay, that, to me, shows that he didn't particularly like the student, number one. Number two, he wanted to teach the student a lesson that the effort put forth was not up to par for his classroom standards, and he wanted to expose the faults of the piece, but he did it in a simple way. I heard something recently that said Americans are very good at simplifying a complex idea. We want a simple answer to an extremely complex idea. You know, weight loss is a good example. We just want a pill. We don't want to work for it. Stuff like that. Look at the piece whenever you critique something and be respectful. If they didn't put forth the effort, bring it up. Say, how much time did you spend on this? And that's a factor sometimes that doesn't really matter, because I've seen artists spend 30 minutes, 20 minutes, 15 minutes on a piece, and because of their experience and capability and their skill, they can accomplish something in that length of time that it takes somebody 5 hours to do. And that, you know, critiques are subjective. Art is subjective. Art changes between each person. Somebody might look at your piece and say, that's the most incredible thing that I've ever seen. And another person might look at it and say, man, you suck. And that is your job as an artist, as a creator and a visual interpreter of life, to determine what level of communication you're going to put forth into the piece. And basically, you know, take that critique, and if you're being hired for it, obviously you got to listen to the critique, because unless you do it, you're not going to get paid. Take that critique, use it as fuel to get better, fuel to understand why that person did that. And honestly, sometimes these people are crazy. You know, you're going to get people that are crazy, and they have no idea what they're talking about. And what I like to do is, whenever somebody brings up an extremely crazy idea, you know, why don't you put a toilet on the deer's head? It'd be fantastic. You know, people love toilets. They use them all the time. Well, toilets are fantastic, but I think that kind of adds an element that people would look at negatively. And a lot of times you can curve. There are words that I like to use, and statements that kind of curve the client's viewpoint without using the blunt instrument of saying you're wrong. A lot of times that is the worst thing you can say is, you know, my piece is fantastic. There should be no changes. Definitely listen to your client. Definitely take the critique, use it as fuel. Be respectful whenever you give a critique. And if you're young in the business, you basically need to grow some thick skin. Don't take it personally. This is a business. Business is about money. Money is what fuels our society. I can sit here and say, you know, accomplish your dreams, go for your dreams. But at the end of the day, you have to look at the bottom line, and these companies are only interested in money. Money. And that's what fuels. And if you want some of that delicious green money, which equals freedom in my opinion, you need to take the critique, make the changes, and learn from the experience. Anyway, thank you guys. I appreciate you visiting my channel. Today we did dose videos, so 3 this week. So I did one on Monday, I uploaded one earlier this morning, and today's the art tip. So hopefully you guys get something from my channel, and we'll see you next time. Thanks, bye.